July 25th, 1587. Just off the coast of present-day North Carolina, 3 ships carrying English settlers land on Roanoke Island.
About 115 men, women, and children, along with John White, the governor, arrived off the coast of North Carolina. Their goal was to create the first permanent English settlement in the New World.
2 years earlier, the English sent a group of mostly soldiers to try and colonize Roanoke, but it ends in disaster with severe food shortages, attacks from the hostile Native American population there. Many die, and they barely escape, just getting back to England.
Governor White is determined to do better this time, and he has more than just his life on the line.
On this expedition was John White's very pregnant daughter, Eleanor, and her husband, Ananias Dare, among other colonists who were there who are also ready to start their families and settle in the New World.
On August 18, 1587, Eleanor Dare gives birth to her daughter, Virginia, the first English child born in North America.
Unfortunately, there's no time to celebrate because the colony is running dangerously low on supplies.
You'd think they would have learned from their last expedition, but as they start to take inventory, they realize they're not going to have enough provisions to last through the winter.
The plan had been start growing their own crops and farming livestock, but there's just not enough time. So someone has to go back to England and secure more provisions.
On August 27th, barely a week after his granddaughter is born, White volunteers to make the transatlantic crossing himself.
It was quite a journey. It took him 2.5 months to get back. When they finally arrived back on English soil, it was November.
Governor White quickly loads 5 ships with supplies.
They are pretty much ready to sail. But the problem with this is there is a stay of all shipping commanded by Queen Elizabeth I because the Spanish Armada are making the most untimely arrival.
England is on the brink of war with Spain. That means that Queen Elizabeth's hands are tied and her money is more focused on war efforts than a failing colony.
White has no choice but to stay in England indefinitely.
Meanwhile, at the colony, they expect White to return in 6 months, and of course, they don't know about the war news, but you can imagine their sinking feeling as 6 months go by, and then a year, and then 2 years.
Ultimately, it takes White 3 full years to return to the coast of North Carolina. When he does, it's August 18th, 1590, the 3rd birthday of his granddaughter, Virginia Dare.
But Governor White doesn't return to his family. He returns to a mystery.
They're gone. The entire colony is just gone. At some point in the previous 3 years, everything and everyone had just disappeared.
There's no evidence that there was any kind of battle. There's no evidence of bones or bodies that might indicate an altercation between the colonists and the indigenous people.
What's weird is that there's basically nothing left behind, and the town isn't so much abandoned, it's been dismantled. All of the buildings have been carefully taken apart, the tools, the boats, the provisions, it's all been taken away. The big mystery is, where did they all go?
White and a few men spend hours searching the site. They turn up only 2 clues.
Carved into a fence post, White and the English see this word, Croatan. And then carved into a tree, 3 letters, C-R-O.
For centuries, the search for the lost colony of Roanoke turns up nothing but tantalizing clues and dead ends. Then, in the late 1930s, a treasure trove of new evidence is unearthed, and if authentic, it could rewrite history.
By the 20th century, the leading theories as to what happened to the colonists were that, number 1, they joined with the Croatoans to the south, and number 2, they had gone north to the Chesapeake where they were murdered by Powhatan's people. Another possibility is quite simple, that they'd tried to sail back to England.
There's just so little evidence. There's almost nothing that has survived, and we haven't even located the site of the colony. Roanoke Island is about the size of Manhattan, and we don't even know where they lived on that island. The primary surviving written source for the bulk of the information that we have on the colony is from John White's diary. And of course, he wasn't there for the disappearance.
But in 1937, a new written account is found, and it's a bombshell.
November of 1937, near Edenton, North Carolina, about 60 miles west of Roanoke Island, a man named Lewis Hammond is hunting for hickory nuts along the Chowan River. When he finds a large rock, it's covered in strange inscriptions that appear to be Old English.
Hammond brings the rock to Emory University in Atlanta to have a history professor named Haywood J. Pierce help him decipher what it says. Pierce takes one look, and he can't believe his eyes.
The carved stone purports to be a message from Eleanor Dare, John White's daughter.
On one side of the stone, Dare report the sad fate of her husband, Ananias Dare, and their 4-year-old daughter, Virginia. They apparently both die in the year 1591.
Below that, Dare instructs whoever finds the stone to bring it to Governor White. She wants her father to know what happened to her family, and making the stone carving is the best way she knows how to do that.
On the reverse side, there's an even longer message.
Eleanor describes the initial departure from Roanoke and the route they've taken so far. They travel west about 50 miles and end up close to the spot where the stone is found.
Next, she writes that after a miserable period of illness, starvation, and violent attacks from local tribes, the population of the colony, which starts off with just over 100 people, dwindles down to just 7 souls.
I've looked at this stone in great detail. It makes for a great story, it makes for a very plausible story. The problem is there's no record of where they went.
But she does provide a hint of a clue. After the 7 colonists bury the remains of their peers, Dare writes that she's inscribed their names on a grave marker somewhere, along with further details of recent events.
In other words, there may be a second hand-carved message with more answers.
After reviewing it, Haywood J. Pierce, the history professor, knows exactly how important this rock is. So he buys it from Lewis Hammond and launches this obsessive search for the second stone.
Pierce believes finding the second stone will authenticate the first stone, effectively solving the Roanoke mystery and earning himself a permanent spot in the history books as well.
Professor Pierce offers a $500 reward to anyone who can find the second Dare stone.
By today's inflation, that's $10,000. During that time, the country was still in the Great Depression, so we know the hunt was on.
Soon enough, Pierce's plan works.
The next stone is found by Bill Eberhart, a backwoodsman from northern Georgia.
He brings a 21-pound rock to Emory University that he claims he found in South Carolina. Sure enough, it has the names of the dead that Eleanor Dare mentioned that she carved into it.
But Eberhardt's find doesn't end there.
In total, within less than a year, Eberhardt finds several dozen more stones.
Taken together, they finally paint a clear picture of what happened to the Roanoke survivors. It's an incredible tale. They eventually make it to safety after a 500-mile journey to Georgia.
Together, this evidence has become known as the Dare Stones.
According to the Dare Stones, the colonists survive and they're in Georgia, taken in by natives, and Eleanor's husband passes away.
Eventually, Eleanor Dare is married to a Native American man in 1593. Together, they have a daughter named Agnes, and Eleanor dies in 1599.
After Eleanor's death, Griffin Jones and Agnes Dare leave behind obituaries for the other survivors as they die off, but nobody knows what happens to Agnes or Griffin.
And it's easy to say Professor Pierce was very excited about these findings.
He hosts a scientific conference in October of 1940, inviting 34 academic experts to examine the stones.
A panel of these experts issues a press release supporting the stones' authenticity.
Pierce submits an article of his findings to the Saturday Evening Post.
When the article comes out on April 26, 1941, it's quite shocking, but not for the reason Pierce expected, because according to the article, the fact-checkers find all kinds of problems with the story. The Dare stones are a hoax.
It's the oldest missing persons case in America, and yet today, there are more people dedicated to solving it than ever before. They're searching land, sea, and even DNA to find the answer. Perhaps one day soon, the lost colony of Roanoke will finally be found.